We start this movie with a blind medicine man. It's late at night and he's enjoying time with his dog. He throws sticks for Columbus to retrieve, but this time, Morning Sky carries Columbus back. She puts Columbus down. She tells Krustyfoot he shouldn't be out here. It's very late and you could be in danger. Krustyfoot replies, Morning Sky, you frightened me. Morning Sky tells him that the earth troubles her tonight. He responds, I have the same feeling. She tells him she's leaving now. Krustyfoot waves goodbye to Morning Sky. He tells Columbus it's time to leave now. He starts walking away. Columbus tries to warn him. Krustyfoot turns and says, what's wrong, Columbus? But it's too late. The Nightbeast attacks the medicine man. Then we see Charles and his son Tim. They are in a secluded cabin. Charles is going to take Tim deer hunting. Tim goes down to the kitchen. As he walks by a window, the beast appears. But Tim doesn't see it. He starts making his sandwich. He hears a strange sound outside. And of course, anytime something like this happens, you should always wander outside and have a look. He thinks he sees something. He runs upstairs and wakes his dad. He tells him something is outside. His father responds, it is probably just a deer. Let me get my gun and have a look. Charles looks around and finds a footprint. As he walks away, a shadow of the beast is seen. The next day, Charles is teaching Tim how to use a gun. There just happens to be a deer waiting for them. Tim fires the gun, and they both fall back. Tim asks his dad, did I get him? Charles replies, you sure did, son, that was a clean shot. Tim asks, what are we going to do with it? Charles responds, we're going to take it home and eat it. They try to lift the carcass, but it's just too heavy for them. Then the game warden shows up. He tells them that's a nice piece of meat. Charles replies, it's my son's first kill. They put the deer in the bathtub. Then they drive to the country store. They buy something to eat other than the deer. The town sheriff is in the store. He's talking about the missing medicine man. Charles overhears the word footprints. He tells the sheriff about their encounter. Tim interjects, tell him what we saw, Dad. The sheriff makes fun of him. Tim tells him their cabin's location. It's up by Sutter's Point. This gets everyone's attention. The sheriff says that's where we found the body of Krustyfoot. Tim asked, who is Krustyfoot? The sheriff replies he was an Indian medicine man. Tim asked if they can go see the Indians. They are told about the Indian show tonight. Now we are at the Indian village. They are entertained with a tribal dance. Then they are told about the Nightbeast. The Indians have lived among them for many years. Sometimes they must give a member of the tribe to them. This is a sacrifice to keep the peace. After this show, Charles and Tim return to the cabin. The front door is wide open. The inside is in shambles. The deer carcass is no longer in the bathtub. They follow a trail of blood outside. There they find what's left of the deer. They can hear howling coming from the forest. The next day, they go to the country store. Charles stocks up on shotgun shells. The store owner remembers Charles talking about footprints. She shows him a footprint cast. Charles replies, yes, that's what it looked like. They all agree that's not a bear. She calls for her husband, Wilbur. There is no response. They go looking for him. They look everywhere, but he's not around. Finally, they think they found Wilbur. He appears to be sleeping on a couch. They pulled back the blanket. Wilbur's lifeless body has been gutted. Charles calls the sheriff. The sheriff tells him he's very busy. Charles tells him he needs to come over here right now. The sheriff keeps telling him he's understaffed. The conversation goes nowhere. Charles decides to go back to the Indians. They seem to know what's going on. Morning Sky asked, why are you here? Charles replies, things are getting weird. We need your help. Morning Sky tells him the ancient people have returned. She takes them to see the tribe's mentor. They entered the teepee. The mentor welcomes them. Charles asked, are we supposed to believe there are monsters out there? The mentor tells him of course they're out there. Then a member of the tribe enters the teepee. He tells the mentor they're coming. Everyone goes outside and gathers together. Then a large group of night beasts appear. The mentor tells everyone to have no fear. They will not enter our village. Now Charles and Tim are believers. Then we see the sheriff and his nitwit deputy. They are stranded somewhere on the highway. The sheriff pops the hood to investigate. Deputy Nitwit tells him he has to go number 2. He wanders off into the woods with his toilet paper. The sheriff checks under the hood. The horn keeps honking. He thinks it's his deputy honking the horn. He shouts out, all right, knock it off. He gets pissed and slams the hood. But it wasn't the deputy honking the horn. It was the Nightbeast. The sheriff shoots the beast, and it runs back into the forest. Then Deputy Nitwit comes running out of the woods. They both run to a nearby shed. They barricade themselves inside. The Nightbeast is trying to get in. Deputy Nitwit still has to go number 2. He doesn't have any pants or gun. The sheriff berates him for losing them. The beasts are everywhere. He hears one on the roof. He follows the sound and shoots. He hears the beast scream out in pain. Now we are back with Charles and Tim. They spent the night at the Indian village, but they parked their vehicle outside of the boundary. When they prepare to leave, they discover the damage. The beast destroyed their transportation. Morning Sky thinks it's funny. She explains how the boundaries work. Then Running Bear appears. He tells them that he will drive them to their cabin. They agree and drive away. Along the way, they see something strange. 2 of the beasts are tormenting the game warden. Charles says we've got to help him. Running Bear responds, no way. We only have 1 shell left. The game warden screams for the last time. Now they are traveling on foot. They crouch down as a beast walks by. When it's safe, they move out again. But there's more of them. One is walking down a dirt road. Another one walks right by Running Bear. Then one passes by Charles and Tim. One attacks Running Bear and he stabs it. The wounded beast stumbles by Tim. Tim hits it with his baseball bat. Then Running Bear finishes it off. Then we return to the sheriff and Deputy Nitwit. They are calling for help, but the radio isn't working. All of a sudden they are under attack. The Nightbeast are coming from all sides. They are very aggressive and keep coming. The sheriff and Nitwit are fighting for their lives. They are making their last stand. Then the charging beasts stop. They hold their hands over their eyes. They turn around and vanish into the woods. The sheriff looks down at his belt buckle. He says they saw the moonlight reflection. Their eyes can't take any direct bright light. They agree to search for shelter. Charles and his team make it back to the cabin. Then the sheriff shows up. The sheriff and Running Bear discuss the beast. Running Bear tells the sheriff they are pack animals. When they are alone, they're dumber than a bag of hammers. The problem is, they're hardly ever alone. Then Tim shouts the monsters are coming. The men grab their weapons. The sheriff does what anyone else would never do. He opens the front door and walks outside. Luckily, he survived this time. He falls back inside the cabin. Charles gets off his shot. The other one disappears into the woods. But there's still one on the front porch. It tries to enter the cabin. Running Bear chops off its hand. The hand is on display. Running Bear treats the sheriff's wounds. He tells Tim to boil some water. Deputy Nitwit announces that he has to go number 2 again. Charles tells him down the hall and to your left. As he starts down the hall, he drops some nails. He gets down on his knees to gather them. Suddenly he is dragged inside a room. Charles hears a munching sound. He laughs and says, yeah, that's number 2 for sure. Then the beast bursts through the door. Tim throws the pot of boiling water on it. Charles and Running Bear open up on the beast. Then, to make matters worse, guess who drives up? It is Charles' ex-wife. They try to get her into the house. Tim is happy to see his mother. She refuses until someone tells her what's going on. They finally force her inside. She is still demanding an explanation. The sheriff responds, so you must be the wife. She replies yes, and just who are you? He tells her I'm the law around here. She says good, then arrest that man. She points to her ex-husband and said he's an idiot. Then Charles calls everyone to look out the window. The beasts are all over the place. The sheriff uses the ex-wife's cell phone. He makes contact for a rescue. Tim tells his mother about the beast. He tells her how he hit one with a bat. She just laughed at him. She tells him he has a great imagination. The sheriff tells everyone they could be rescued. The ex-wife tells Charles to tell the truth. He replies, Tim just told you everything and you just laughed at him. Once again, she says, I don't believe you. Charles tells her to follow him. He leads her over to the covered body of the beast. He warns her to be prepared for a shock. She just laughed at him. Charles removes the cover. The ex-wife sees the body and faints. Charles carries her away. They have a very short window period to be rescued. Charles, Running Bear, and Tim decide to go for it. They grab their guns and go on the attack. They kill many of the beast, but they keep coming. Finally, they run out of ammo. They run back inside the house. Running Bear hears gunshots outside. They open the door and go onto the porch. Morning Sky is there. She and other members of the tribe have saved the day. Running Bear tells Charles they can leave now. The Indians will chase the beast back to where they belong. Then we see the 4 of them escaping in their car. As they drive, a beast jumps on the car. They are able to throw it off. Other beasts chase after the car. They outrun them. Then some beasts are blocking the road. They smash through them. They finally arrive at the dock. The boat is waiting as promised. They hear a noise coming from the trunk. When they open it, they find the sheriff. They all smile and say we made it. They run down to the boat. They get on the boat and head for safety. But then we see the previous leader of the Indian tribe. He is sleeping. He is awakened by the Nightbeast, and that's how the movie ends. We can only imagine what they did to him. If you enjoyed this condensed version of Nightbeast, please click the subscribe and like buttons and leave a comment. And thanks for watching.